excited episode of the Late Night Show with your host, Chichi Stylxz. Today, I'm specializing on set design because we still have to create amazing sets even during COVID. Literally for our show, on the Late Night Show, and for you guys who are wanting to film. So we are going to take you all the way to Savannah, Georgia, and we're going to talk to you. Scott runs film buildings, which allows you to look at set designs and opportunities and studios and production houses that you need from whatever location that you're at. If you're available to shoot in any location that Mr. Gooch and his team can provide for you. So we're gonna go quickly into the interview with him. We're talking about COVID-19. We're talking about location, which is key to getting a good shoot, to having the right background, to having the right spot, to be able to tell your story. So here's an exclusive with Mr. Gooch of Film Building, Savannah, Georgia, which, by the way, if you shoot your film in Savannah, you can get up to $125,000 cash back, ching, for shooting your next movie in Savannah, Georgia. Let's go to our interview with Mr. Gooch.
Steve, how's it going?
Okay, great.
So it seems like your video and audio are not working at the same time. Do we get one or the other?
Let's see.
Oh, there we go. All right.
Am I on?
So much.
Can you see me okay?
Yep, I see you okay. How's it going?
Okay. Yeah, good. So is it Chichi or Edna?
Well, Chichi is my stage name. Edna is my government name. So Chichi's derived from one of my African names. So that's how Chichi came about. So, but it's Edna when we're being professional, and when we're frenzy, hey Chichi, it's kind of like I do a little bit of stand up, so it fits. Trust me, it just fits well when I get funny. But thank you for taking out the time to meet with me today. We're gonna talk a little bit about how our team will hopefully watch this video to get a better understanding of how we plan to shoot in Atlanta. We have close to about 10,000 people within our network of filmmakers and people in video and so forth. They will probably love to see this video as well, just to get a little bit of understanding of how you guys are available to shoot now. Even though COVID is in place, you guys are available to schedule the shoots. I did a little bit of research on your website. Could you just tell us a little bit about yourself, your background, and how the filmbuildings.com web is supporting filmmakers at this time?
Sure, absolutely. My name's Scott Gooch. I'm based down in Savannah, Georgia. I have much time spent in buildings up in Atlanta and some stuff in New Orleans as well, and Charlotte. We're actually live filming this week in Charlotte already, which is interesting. Nice. Small production. It's one of those real crime type shows where they're more documentary style, where you have someone interviewing people that were involved at the time. But it's interesting. So that's the first actual live production we have going, which started this week. So that's good to hear.
Very nice.
Yeah, I provide production office space, warehouse space with stage, studio, all the way through mill space and housing of executive and crews. So kind of the gamut in Savannah specifically, and then most of that in the Atlanta market as well. It's been, like everybody, a big standstill the past couple months plus. And we've just been really working to get ready for the return to film.
Right.
Kind of getting COVID-19 ready. And that means for us expanding our individual offices versus everyone in a bullpen area. So we have more individual offices. We're expanding the bullpen area so you have 8 foot from every person, so everyone feels a little bit more comfortable and less anxiety. Lining up crews that can be contracted for cleaning and sanitation on a daily and nightly basis in the workspaces. I've partnered up or collaborated with Mario's Catering. It's one of the largest Hollywood film catering companies. They're very big in Atlanta too. Collaborated with them. They're available to bring in a separate catering team just at the production office. So you can have all your executives and crew working in the office, not just the people on location, where all the meals would be prepared there and avoid the need to go out or have people constantly coming in from different restaurants, that sort of thing. And then housing, pulling together some housing options for individual condos, things like that are available, as well as inns. So like Savannah is very historic, and a lot of like bed and breakfasts and inns like that, you could rent out an entire kind of place, I think. So that's kind of another additive for the housing part of it.
So I looked at your website. So when you talk about the housing, I have a couple of questions there. For housing, I see 1 bedroom, I see 2 bedroom, I see 3, 4, and even 5. It says for crew and maybe cast. Now, tell me, my crew can stay there, right? Can I shoot there, or I only can stay there? Do I have, can I use the place to film?
So it's a mix. Some of these you can. If there's filming involved, if it's an actual location, we negotiate location fees, which are going to differ from just, the nightly fee to sleep, but you can. So we have a unique 1800s historic mansion, 3-story mansion, which is great to film in or stay in, right? And you can do both.
Okay.
So the rates differ. It obviously becomes more of a location, and it's more wear and tear, and you've got a crew and that sort of thing. But we do have that. Several of our places you can film in, which are pretty neat.
So your 18-star, the mansion, how many rooms does it have, and how many
it's a 3-story house.
Right.
It has 5 bedrooms and 4 or 5 baths. And it's really historic. It's decorated in piece kind of in the main level. But then the bathrooms, it has like a jacuzzi tub in one of the bathrooms. So the kitchen is more modern to facilitate living in it, but yet it has the look and all the other parts, which is pretty neat.
And you guys have churches, you have housing options, you have basketball, football, soccer, and locations. You have a hospital, doctor's office that people can shoot with. You have a convention, the Covington Film House and Warehouse. You have warehouses and water tanks. You have a prison, a vacant prison for a storyline that fits that.
That's actually probably 2 hours away, the prison is actually.
Okay, so it's in between Atlanta and Savannah.
Yeah. Most of the stuff that you mentioned, though, some's in Atlanta. Most of it's all in Atlanta within 15 minutes of the production office. You've got a doctor's office actually right on our campus. The hospital corridors, then we have a school, all the fields that you mentioned, a lot of different locations. We also have, at our other primary kind of campus, we have a 5-acre wooded wilderness area that's completely fenced in with a gate right beside a main building with all the power and like a hold area. So you could do something, if you were doing something in the wilds, it could be filmed there and still have the ease of getting people in and out, getting everything in and out, and actually running power to it.
Nice.
Well. Yeah.
Okay. And that wooded area, it isn't on the website, but it's available close to Savannah in the area that you guys are in.
Yeah, so I partnered up with one of the biggest and oldest African-American churches in Savannah, St. John Baptist Church. They outgrew their massive church in the historic district. So that's the 35,000 square foot of production office spaces, that whole church, 24/7. They moved to a larger campus where we have all these fields, baseball field, basketball, football, soccer, and then they had the 5-acre wooded place right there. So it's kind of neat. So it's between those two properties, and they're about 10 minutes apart. You get a lot of different unique locations.
All right, so tell me why someone should come there to do it all with you guys versus maybe like a Tyler Perry Studios. He charges about 10 grand a day for just the place. That's not including anything else. But they have access to equipment, they have access to everything, which Georgia offers in a whole. The tax breaks are, they're tremendous what you can do shooting in Georgia, living anywhere else. I live in Michigan and I'm planning to shoot in Georgia. So I can imagine, I'm thinking of, and basically they're like, if you get your accounting here, we'll give you a tax break. If you buy ink and paper, we'll give you a tax break. If you hire people, we'll give you a tax break. So I don't even want to do anything anywhere else, because as soon as I start spending money there, I get a tax break for everything I spend on my film. So what's the difference between a location like Tyler Perry's and a location like yours?
Yeah, no, absolutely. So Tyler Perry has one of the best locations in America, sitting right in downtown Atlanta, Georgia. It's a couple 100 acres plus compound, right, that he's pulled together. It used to be an army barracks, and it's a world-class studio today. So ours is completely different in that Atlanta's a massive city. We're the small city, 300,000 under population, down on the coast, about 3.5 hours from Atlanta.
Okay.
So when you come to us, Atlanta's the big city. Savannah has the oldest historic district in America. So you're going to get old history, charm, a lot of character, great logistics to get around. So we're not all in we're not in a compound. We're located, I've got all these buildings like within a block kind of thing, right?
Okay.
It's a totally different feel. It's a really unique feel because of all the deep history there. And that's one of the reasons I partnered up with the church. The African-American history there is so significant. It's really unique. Like this production office, the original founding church, where the whole congregation were ex-slaves. So that's kind of neat from a historic perspective. From a business perspective, as great as Tyler Perry's incentives are in Atlanta, they're even better in Savannah because the city of Savannah kicks in another 10% up to a certain level.
Nice.
So, yeah, and you're not going to beat Georgia in general. I mean, there's 30% incentives as long as you show the Georgia peach at the
right.
Yeah. And everyone's going to do that, and everything counts. So when you come to Savannah, it's Georgia incentives. Savannah kicks in another 10% up to a certain amount. So it's like another 100,000. It gets capped off at that level.
Yeah.
But it's pretty neat. If you're doing a production, $1 million production, you're basically getting $400,000 back to come film down there, right? So it's
right.
Just like you said,
beat that. Investors love it because they're thinking, I'm going to get my money back as soon as you get off the set.
Yeah, exactly. So everything counts, just like when you talk about this. You throw in anything local into that, it all adds up. So it's really great. And the logistics in Savannah are a lot easier than Atlanta because it's smaller, it's unique. We have the coast, so anything you're going to do with water, from the ocean and beach to the marshes, so any kind of scenery like that, we get a lot of filming because of that. And then the historic houses, but there's as many things filmed in downtown Savannah, which are supposed to be New York City based type films.
Right.
You can get a big diverse grouping of architecture.
Okay.
Yeah, and I would say probably your overall costs, I would think, are probably a little less in Savannah. It's a smaller city. It's easier to get around and things maybe not as expensive as Atlanta.
Okay.
So that's some of the difference, but that's really it. It's similar stuff. I wouldn't compare us to Tyler Perry in that, you walk in the gate and you're done. Everything is there. With me, you work with me and I pull everything together.
Right. And then you work with you guys are working with the commission. You help us with maybe, are you helping with accounting, putting together final receipts? Those are some of the things that you find there. And then anything with distribution, any kind of contacts you're looking to make in the future with maybe getting distribution for clients that shoot in your area?
Yeah, no, absolutely. So all of that stuff. I've got an active, like a costume designer from Hollywood who lives in Savannah. She keeps an office on our campus.
Nice.
Down to all the local crew people that you would be looking to add, including accountants, so they can keep track of all those receipts, and especially now because the Georgia film grouping is starting to audit those a little closer just to make sure that people are spending that money locally.
Right.
And that's real simple. You get your local account, they sit up there the first ones in and last ones out. And we have a couple great accounts in Savannah already. So from that perspective, I can hook you up with a lot of the different local crew that you would need.
Okay.
As well as, like you said, the Savannah, the Savannah Film Commission. I'm very close to them. I talk to them weekly.
Nice.
They're located, their office, they're moving like 2 blocks from where my campus is, which is nice.
Nice.
Yeah, so it's a really neat environment. You're basically, regardless of if you're a $1 million budget to 100 million, you're going to be a big fish in Savannah because there's only going to be a few films going on at one time in the Savannah market.
Right.
Whereas Atlanta, on any given day, you're going to have probably 40 plus productions.
Tell me a little bit about all the safety precautions you guys are putting together. You mentioned earlier that you guys have a crew now that will wipe down the set on a daily basis. How much more is that cost? I know that there's no way anyone's going to shoot right now without being able to present the fact to the crew and the cast that we're going to protect you. We're going to make sure as much as possible that we are cleaning down and wiping down. How are you guys? Tell me some of the safety precautions that you guys are putting in place and how expensive is that going to be for crew and cast? Or is that based on how much time they spend on the set? Or
Yeah, absolutely. And so it's a great question. So I'm not sure how Tyler Perry, they may be handling everything in a turnkey manner.
Okay.
What I've done is more line up these teams for you to work with directly, because I don't want to get involved in, like, is anyone cutting corners? Is that part of my cost with me kind of thing? So I'm just providing the space, overseeing the space as if it were a giant hotel for you. And then effectively lining you up with the right people to clean, the right people, like the catering team, if you want to use them or not, kind of things. And so I'm trying to make it very turnkey, simple, like here are the people, but you have your choice of anyone else or any extra precautions. I'm also working now on lining up COVID consultants who would be, you could hire for once a week or daily would be the best, obviously, but someone that would be actually around the whole time just to go through and make sure that you're kind of following guidelines. It's not a police, it's just to help you, right? So Georgia released their COVID-19 filming guidelines about 2 weeks ago. It's pretty in-depth, and it kind of goes through everything from in the production office to set to how makeup's applied, you know, how you're working with the actors, how the crew interacts, that sort of thing. And so these consultants are people that would constantly be in the office, on location, everywhere, just walking through, making sure first you're implementing the right procedures, and then secondly that everyone's kind of following those, not just day one, but just to keep up, because it's just simple to slip, you know. It's I mean, you've probably seen this when you go and you haven't seen someone in a long time, you're ready to hug them, right? It's like, whoa, hold on. So that's it. So yeah. I mean, every time I run into someone now, you're like, hey, I'm like, wait a second, you know, or you. I've talked to you a couple of times. I see you, I'd finally be like, oh, it's finally good to meet you. But
you want to go for a hug, but you can't. Yeah. And as soon as you stop, everyone's like, oh, that's right. We're all on the same page here. It's just being safe and smart. So that's it. So what I've been doing is spending a lot of time pulling together all the resources for you, so I can tap you into all of those, and you can choose how you want to pull that together best. And so you work individually with them. I guess one of the final things that would be important to the crew is the opportunity to so we could come in and actually we could get creative with all the spaces you have. We're not fixed to a certain kind of method or way, because I've seen sound stages, so we can design, create, add on, and you have access to those that can do the building. In other words, building what we would like there.
You've got all the crew there to build any kind of city you want inside of a warehouse. And then you've got the great location guys who a lot of this stuff they'll find it for you, right? So like right now, NBC has a show on called Council of Dads. That's on Thursday nights at 10, I think. That's all filmed in Savannah, and that's all mostly filmed location. I think, you know, you've got obviously the inside of their houses in a warehouse studio, but a lot of that is location. So there's a lot of easy location. It's just Savannah is so small. It's logistically just easy to get around, and it's easy to pull these different locations. So which is good. You'll be doing a lot of filming outdoors and things like that, which is great.
Do you advise that someone comes to visit Savannah and look at and scout, or virtual is kind of better? You know, should we come visit first, look at what we want, and kind of schedule and book it a couple of weeks out before we actually come in to shoot? Do you advise that?
Yeah, I do. I advise that because it gives you a much better feel. It's also just such a great, unique atmosphere in Savannah. So I have a producer coming in next week for 3 days that shot something last year, and he's actually on the distribution side. So when you talk about that also, I've got a lot of connections that side of. So we think around distribution, introducing you to a lot of people. That's what I spend half my time managing my buildings and half my time networking with mostly Hollywood and things like that.
Right, to help people get their projects out.
Yeah, trying to get people into my buildings and trying to help them with linking up with the right people to get the distribution globally. This is
awesome. This is awesome. It's and the fact that you can help us through the COVID-19 time is probably more than anything else we can ask for right now, because most people want more than just the money you pay them. Staff, they want to be safe. They want to make sure that you have plans to keep them safe, to house them properly, and that they have food that's good. You know, they can eat, they can sleep, and they can be safe. They're coming to set. And we want to make sure that those things are covered before we step out and book any plans to come out before the end of this month. We're planning to come out to Savannah or early in July. So sooner than better, because we want to shoot in August, but we have to make sure that we're safe and we have everything prepared to do that, and then we can book the space that we want. So our line producer and I would try to make it out there before the end of the month. Hopefully this video can help many people who are going to watch it to get a better understanding of how Savannah is a good place versus other places that they can come and shoot, and the extra 10% incentive on certain things. Where can I find that information? It's probably one of the most important things you've said today is an extra 10% incentive.
Yeah, exactly. So if you just, I can send you that information after this call, but anyone else, if you just pull up or Google the Savannah Film Commission, click on incentives, they'll break out the Georgia incentives and then the additional Savannah incentives.
Yeah, that's awesome.
It's nice when you add another $100,000 into the budget. So, the city's popping, gonna basically pay.
Oh yeah, everyone's coming there and coming back.
Yeah, and actually, it's a little more. I think there's in addition to that, I think there's another 25,000. You probably qualify for getting enough local crew members. Which you probably would. So it's really it's 40% plus. And
we have a film that has we want to build some huts, so that land that you said you have available, because there's a scene where someone's running through the woods and it's like an Africa location. Running through these woods and running back out into a village scene, which requires some huts that look like it built in red sand, got kind of think the straw, ceiling. So we want to create about 5 or 6 huts. And it's great to get the stock footage, but when you create it, then you can actually, or there are many creative ways that the team and I are looking at how to shoot that, but we don't mind building that because that's something we wanted to pitch to Tyler Perry Studios. And building that means that we can then line up a lot of other films who want to be shot in that kind of environment with that kind of look to follow suit.
Right.
And we already have those scripts, and they want to shoot something with an African scene, and we can say, hey, we have the location, so we don't have to necessarily tear it down right away and schedule a lot of other shootings after it before we finally, tear it.
No, that would be great. And this land would be ideal for that, just because the way it's easy to set up a base camp right there, have a holding area for extras, and then you go right in, it's gated, open the gate, and you're right into this wilderness. So it's a pretty neat setup.
Awesome.
There's also, the other thing I'll mention is that through my partnership with the church, and they're very linked in with the African-American community. So we really strive to bring in extras from the African-American community from the church and elsewhere. So we'll bring in extras, you need musicians, and then local actors. So you've got a lot of that community to tap into that's ready, that's already been in multiple movies that have been in my building. So it's
and they have relationships as well. So if you, and then that's the great thing. It's like build relationship blocks, and it just becomes a good foundation to make a good film and to continue to film other productions. Tell me the average cost a day to shoot on your locations.
It's just going to vary depending on everything that's involved. I would say on average is $2,000 to $3,000 a day for a location.
Okay. Versus the $10,000 in Tyler Perry Studios, and that's just base. That's not renting anything else out. That's just base the price there.
Yeah, exactly.
Cool.
Exactly.
Okay.
So it's going to be, that's what it says, it'll be probably much more economical for you.
Right.
It's a different feel. And if you haven't been to Savannah, and if you haven't been anywhere else lately, I mean, it feels like, it kind of feels like COVID wasn't as impacted down there, although everyone's very safe. Everyone has the mask and doing the right things. But if you look at the city of Savannah, it had just over 500 cases total of reported COVID. It's a good environment as far as being. It's very green. There's parks every couple blocks that you see these little parks, and it's just an open, airy space, so it's not congested at all, which gives it a really nice feel.
And do you refer us with transportation as well, or do you recommend we get our own from the airport back and forth for our crew?
Yeah, no, I've got a shuttle group today, so I've got a shuttle partner that can pick you up easily and bring you around, especially when you're coming down and doing a scouting trip, that sort of thing.
Okay. And then we can talk about all those details after we've come.
Yeah, when you're actually there, most of your crew can literally walk probably from where your house to the production office. You can walk it, which is really nice. And then even restaurants too. But if you get catered, it's right there. So whatever works best.
Yeah, if someone doesn't want to eat the catered food, they can go get some food.
Yeah, I'm sure they'll want to try it out. I mean, it's a lot of these places, everything's outdoors. Savannah, they've closed off some of the streets so you can just have outdoor seating, which makes it feel even better if you do go back. But Georgia's been open for a little while, and it seems to be going fairly well.
Yeah, saw that on the news. Well, thank you so much for taking out the time, Steve, to talk to me today. It's been about 30 minutes. I said I'll keep it at 30 minutes, even though I have tons of questions. But I think the next step is to come down and visit and sit with you guys and talk about how we can make our budget work in the Atlanta area. I'm super excited to do that.
That sounds great.
All right. It's a pleasure again. We'll talk soon, sir. Thank you again.
Thank you.
Have a great weekend. Bye.
Welcome back, and thank you guys so much for joining us on an exclusive interview with the one and only Film Buildings boss. I sat down with him and we went through Savannah, Georgia, and I looked at the feel of the city and to understand better how to do my productions there or even be able to refer other people there. Last week we heard from B Squad, who was sharing with us about how they're getting creative. So if you're planning on doing a film or shooting the area, or if you live in the Atlanta, Georgia area, we would recommend you to take a sit down with Mr. Gooch of Film Buildings to talk about the tax breaks, beautiful locations they offer, and that cash back deal. For more information on how we're teaching and how we're surviving by telling our stories, log on to www.flixreps.com, where you can find teachers and we can represent you in a festival style and help you get your film distributed, produced, made, answer your questions on production, legal, mention it, we've got it. And if we don't have it, email us so we can hook you up with the right coach to get your project made. Thank you again for joining me on the Late Night Show with your host, Chichi Stylxz. It's another exciting episode we'll bring you to you. Thank you to my advertisers and all those who are watching us from all over the world. Don't forget to check us out on Roku, on Amazon, and on Apple TV via Chi TV. Thank you so much for joining us. See you guys next week. Bye.